How do you think the role of a manager has changed since those days when you were a young up-and-coming manager in the Premier League? Because it's more of a head coach role now, isn't it, in terms of you've got a sporting director that you rely upon to sign the players, and managers now tend to concentrate more on the coaching side of the game and the tactical side of the game than recruitment.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think clubs are far too big these days, and I think you look at the quality of both the players and the quality of the coaches altogether can only be a good thing, providing we don't hold it up there as being the best of the best. We've still got to be open, and really, when it comes down to coaching, it's the quality of the players that you've got and the quality of how you play and how you coach them, and that is a 24-hour job. The days are gone, I think, definitely gone between, managers thinking that they can do everything, because they can't. I remember you going to stewards' meetings and being involved in the tea ladies' wages, and those days are gone, and they should be.
You had a really successful spell at Watford. We touched on that earlier, getting into the Premier League, but you saved them from relegation first. You became only the second man to steer the club to promotion to the Premier League in 2005-06. You won Championship Managers of the Month. You reached an FA Cup semi-final the following year. Do you think after that job that you'd done at Watford, you should have got a bigger job off the back of it?
Well, I went for a lot of interviews when I came out of Watford. I had a brilliant time there. When you throw all those things at me, and it sends me into really happy place, really. But I think football, it's where I am now as well. It's about getting a job, and it's about staying in work and getting as high as up the ladder as you can. Because one thing's for sure, you are going to lose your job, and we've seen that in recent days, weeks even. And as a coach or as a manager, you've got to be resilient. You've got to get back on the horse, and you've got to go again. And that's what we do as football managers, as head coaches.
But were you slightly surprised that you went from being with Watford and a team you'd taken to the Premier League, and the next job was at Colchester United? With all due respect to Colchester United, there is a difference between those levels, isn't there? Yeah,
there is. And looking back now, although I had a brilliant time at Colchester, really enjoyed working with their chairman there, Robbie Cowling. If I'd have been a little bit more patient, I was 35, 36 then.
Too eager, were you?
Bit too keen, perhaps, yeah. But you make choices, and you live those choices, and that's what I did. And I don't think you can, have any regrets, and I don't. But at the same time, I want to get as high as I can, as quick as I can. So my love of the game and my love of coaching, that's something that I wanted to do all my life, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
You say you don't have any regrets, but when you look back on your coaching career so far, is there any job that maybe with hindsight you wouldn't have taken?
Well, you're asking some naughty questions there on that one. That's a difficult one to answer. I think Coventry City, when I look back at that one, was probably me going too soon from Colchester, and maybe could have had another couple of seasons there, got a few hundred games under my belt. But again, those experiences have been at Coventry when we were possibly going into administration, all those things that the supporters don't know about, that you have to keep yourself and keep being professional. We couldn't sign any players. So all those, again, those experiences which sound horrific when at the time, we couldn't get players in. There was a player embargo. And you look at the club as it is now. I was there, funnily enough, at the weekend watching them against Norwich.
Yeah.
And it's a much different club. The stand is full. Mark Robbins is doing a tremendous job. They've got some really good young players coming through, and they sell them on. What they do is a really good model. But when I was there, it wasn't.
It's interesting as well, because coaches get tagged with certain different monikers. You described a certain style. I think sometimes that people don't understand that you have to work to a certain budget, therefore you have to create a certain system. How would you describe yourself as a coach? Do you have a clear footballing philosophy, or are you someone who is all about winning at all costs, no matter what?
I think ideally you want to win every game, but we're all chasing that elusive situation where you're playing sexy super football. And I think over the years I've been quite pragmatic. With the England Under-21s, you play a very different brand of football than what you would with Watford. Watford were at that time far better with a ball. Far better without the ball. But I wouldn't ask Watford's players to play like England Under-21s because they're a different, and the stats back that up. 65% win rate, a 24-game unbeaten run for the Under-21s. And with Watford, it was all about being solid without the ball, being good on set plays, and then trying to evolve. And unfortunately, my year in the Premier League, we didn't have the quality of players to get to the point where we could stay in there. We didn't spend the money.
Do you think you get unfairly tagged because of that approach and from that Premier League season? I mean, was it unfair for people to call you Aidy Boothroyd? I think that was one of the monikers that you were given.
Yeah, up until coming on this show, Sam, I was hoping that people had forgotten about it, to be honest. So thanks very much for bringing that up. No, I think that anybody who understands the game, anybody that can go and watch a game of football can make an opinion on it. And the way that the Under-21s played, qualified, got into tournaments, and in some cases, in a lot of cases, got from the 21s and the system that we had into Gareth's team. You play very differently with them than what you do with Watford or Colchester. And in those cases, I think you've got to be pragmatic.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.